Welcome to Storycraft Portal, where we uncover the truths buried deep beneath the ocean. In 1912, the Titanic, the world's most unsinkable ship, sank on its very first voyage. But one question still haunts history. Did the iceberg really cause the tragedy, or was a warning ignored? Multiple iceberg warnings were received, yet no action was taken to slow the ship. The Titanic wireless operator missed critical messages. Occupied with passenger telegrams, one final warning could have saved lives. But it never reached the bridge. Even worse, the ship's lookouts had no binoculars. They spotted the iceberg visually, but not until it was too late. How could a ship of this scale miss something so vital? When the iceberg appeared, the Titanic turned sharply. But it was a design flaw no one expected. IT didn't strike head-on. It scraped along the side, tearing steel like paper. This wasn't a clean hit. It was a silent rupture that doomed the ship. Many still call it a tragic accident, but when warnings are ignored, speed is pushed, and equipment is missing, is it still fate? Or was the Titanic disaster a perfect storm of human error? It was a clear night on April 14th, 1912. The Titanic was sailing at full speed across the North Atlantic. No one knew that danger was silently waiting ahead. That day, Titanic received multiple iceberg warnings from nearby ships. Some were delivered to the bridge, some never left the radio room. The ship kept moving at 22 knots, ignoring the rising risk. The Californian had warned of a huge ice field nearby. That warning came just hours before the impact, but the Titanic's radio operator was overwhelmed. His priority was handling passenger messages, not external alerts. That decision proved fatal for everyone on board. IT was the first in a chain of human errors. Lookouts continued scanning the waters ahead, but they were working without binoculars. They couldn't see far enough, despite the clear sky. The iceberg wasn't invisible. It was simply unseen, and when they finally spotted it, it was too late. They rang the warning bell, but precious seconds were lost. They tried to turn the ship to avoid the iceberg. But by then, the Titanic was already too close, and the collision that followed changed history forever. When the iceberg scraped along the Titanic's side, it didn't cause a massive hole. Instead, it tore open a series of small gaps along the hull. The ship's design couldn't handle that type of damage. Titanic had watertight compartments, but only vertically sealed. Once 5 of them flooded, the rest were doomed to follow, and no one expected such a slow but certain death. Passengers barely felt the impact. Some thought it was just a minor shake or a turn, but deep below, water rushed in at a terrifying speed. The crew began inspecting the damage quickly. Engineers realized the situation was far worse than reported. The Titanic was sinking, and it was unstoppable. Captain Smith was informed within minutes. He asked for immediate lifeboat preparation, but there were only enough for half the people on board. Chaos hadn't started yet, but the clock was ticking. Titanic was losing thousands of tons of seawater every hour. IT was now a race against time and fear. The structure wasn't built for such a side. Scrape, the unsinkable ship was silently being pulled under. The greatest maritime disaster in history had just begun. At first, passengers were calm. Many didn't believe the ship was sinking. The Titanic crew kept repeating, "It's only a precaution." But below deck, the truth was very different. The lower-class passengers were the first to feel the fear. Water was already rushing into their rooms. They began running toward upper decks in confusion. The Titanic's band continued to play music on deck. The IT was meant to keep people calm and distract from the growing panic. But time was running out fast. Lifeboats were launched, but many left half empty. Some passengers still believed the ship couldn't sink. They stayed behind and missed their only chance to survive. The tilt became more visible. Water reached the grand staircase. Now panic started spreading like fire. Officers tried to maintain order with loaded weapons. Some even fired warning shots in the AI, or that IT was no longer calm. It was chaos. This wasn't a drill. This was a sinking ship, far from any help. And for most, it was already too late. By now, half the Titanic was underwater. The ship's stern lifted into the sky. Those still on board were clinging to anything solid. Cold water swallowed entire corridors. The grand chandelier fell and shattered. Survivors could hear the steel bending under pressure. Many jumped into the freezing ocean, but hypothermia would take most within 15 minutes. Lifeboats floated nearby, but few dared to return. The ship broke into two pieces, screams echoed across the dark water, and then silenced in just under 3 hours. Titanic disappeared beneath the Atlantic. More than 1,500 lives were lost, not because of a single mistake, but many. The night was calm again, but nothing would ever be the same. That a tragedy had reshaped the world forever. The unsinkable ship was gone, but its story had only just begun. The search for truth would follow for decades. For 73 years, the Titanic's resting place remained unknown. Many searched, but none found it. Until 1985, that a secret U.S. Navy mission accidentally made the discovery that Dr. Robert Ballard was the first to find it 0.2 miles deep in the Atlantic, lying in silence. The wreck was in two pieces, surrounded by debris. The ship's size and shape were still visible. But nature had taken over. It was haunting, yet beautiful. Plates, shoes, and personal items still lay scattered. They told the stories of those who never made a home. The silence was heavier than sound. The world was stunned by the footage that it wasn't just a shipwreck. It was a grave, and finally, the lost ship had been found. That we now know the truth about what happened that night. The ignored warnings, the poor design, the human error, and the price paid for it all. The Titanic didn't just hit an iceberg. It collided with arrogance, speed, and overconfidence. And that's why it became the world's most haunting disaster.